What is up, y'all? Welcome to the first ever Reflect podcast, where we reflect on what God's done in the lives of others as well as ourselves so that we can better reflect Him in the world today. And so today we have a fun episode with Martz. Don't call him John or Jonathan because I will be really confused. He's been a pastor and honestly a mentor in a lot of ways for me in different parts of my life. And so I'm excited to get to share a conversation that we got to have about some things just generally in his life, how God showed up. And then we also today have something really special because it's the first episode. It's literally the first episode. Welcome. Whether you're listening or whether you're watching, if you're watching, you're probably like, what in the world is this kid doing? Fair. If you're listening, you might be like, okay, maybe we can do this. Fair. Just stick with me. Hang with me. I promise there's good after this segment. But I just want to say thank you guys for listening, for taking time to just be here and to honestly just listen to something that you don't know whether you're actually going to get anything out of. My prayer is that God's in this, that His Holy Spirit was working through this, and that whether you're a believer or a non-believer, you'll either find some encouragement or maybe even just find that one little push that you needed to actually dive deeper into your faith. That's been my goal for this entire podcast. Just everything that I do, I want to highlight ministries. I want to help just highlight people's stories, see what God's done in other people's lives throughout the church, the capital C church, the whole church congregation that the Bible talks about. And so that's my goal with this podcast. I really thank you guys for listening. Again, I just pray that God uses this to touch the hearts of those listening and just encourage and inspire you guys. So without further ado, we'll get into the episode with Martz. I promise you guys it is well worth listening to. Okay. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Reflect podcast. I have Martz with me, and today, before we get into this, I just got to ask a couple questions. Okay. And I told you this ahead of time.
No, you know what? Actually, this is the first podcast. I'm honored that I get to be on this, but I think this is called the Reflect podcast.
Yes.
Why'd you pick that name?
Oh, goodness. Oh my gosh. I didn't think you were going to put me on the spot. Okay. Funny story. I was driving home one day and I had gotten this tattoo a couple years ago. Honestly, I don't know that they'll be
And that says, be the moon, reflect the sun.
Yeah. Yes. But not S-O-N, not S-U-N.
Oh, come on.
I know. Very churchy,
come
right? And it was just my reminder to reflect Jesus in everything that I do. And so as I was coming up with this, I was driving home one day and I had a completely different name for this podcast. Can I tell you what it was?
Yeah, what was it? I'll steal it from my podcast.
No, you probably won't because it means nothing to you. But I had it was like the Sloth Faith podcast or whatever. Okay. Hear me out.
I've seen you in a sloth costume.
I was going to say, were you in there for when I did my message?
I was not the whole time, but some. I popped in, saw.
Yeah, that means you saw the full sloth attire that I own. So the thing with that is...
First off, hold on. We've got things to talk about, but the fact that you talked about your sloth attire, I just don't know anybody else that's watching this that would also have sloth attire.
Guys, I have way too much sloth attire too.
I don't know where you get that.
Costa Rica was a lot of it.
Wow.
And my parents actually found that ugly Christmas sweater with a sloth on it.
Yes.
And we just used that in the North Point students video recently.
Come on.
But yeah, with that, like I had a whole acronym for sloth like picked out and everything. And I might still use that in the future. So I'm not going to like tell you what it is. That way you don't steal it, for a message or series or something like
true.
that, But that was going to be the first name. But then I was driving home and saw, I just looked down at the tattoo and it said Reflect the Sun. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the Reflect podcast. Dude. I have a voice memo of me doing the first ever intro.
Yeah.
While I was driving my vehicle.
Well, have you heard, you've probably heard the story of the silversmith and how you make silver.
I've heard the one about gold, but I don't know about silver.
Okay, this would be like the silversmith. What he would do is, basically you would put a raw piece of silver with all its impurities and everything into this apparatus, and then you would turn up the heat slowly so that you don't burn it. but you'd turn it up very slowly so it'd heat up, it would melt. And what would happen is all the impurities of that raw silver would rise to the top. And then what you would do is you'd scrape it off. And then he'd do it again, turn it up a little hotter. It'd rise to the top, he'd scrape it off. He'd do it a little bit hotter, rise to the top, scrape it off. And how do you know when you're done?
That's a good question.
Well, you're done when you can look at the raw piece of silver and it shows a clear reflection of its silversmith. And when you look at kind of what you're talking about is sometimes you got to go past the sun to the sun. You know what I mean? Like, past our sun, everything that we see to the Son of God. And what does it look like to reflect him? I'm like, oh my gosh. And what he's doing in your life is sometimes you feel like he's turning up the heat just like little by little by little, carefully, not to burn you, not to overwhelm you, but and not even all of it is because of him, but what it is your impurities rise to the top, you scrape it off, and how do you know when you're finished? It's when you reflect him.
Yeah, the problem I had was in that, I guess, was telling people I was going to start it too early, because I remember a conversation we had at McAllister's right after I came back from YWAM, and I told you I was going to start.
Hold on, you skipped over a whole thing right there. Before we talk about how you came up with the podcast, you went to YWAM. Where did you go? What happened?
This podcast is about you, not about me.
Yeah, it's about us.
Yeah, okay.
Matt and John.
Yes. So I found myself in Costa Rica, specifically because there's 5 bases there, specifically the Puerto Viejo base. Shout out to Rasta. He may watch this, he may not, but I don't know. But I'm getting ready to go see him again.
Oh, he's totally going to watch.
Oh, yes, I hope so. Anyways, so I found myself there. I went for one of their DTSs, the discipleship training schools, and it's just 5 months where you go through 3 months of classes, I think, or 4 months of classes. And then you end up going on an outreach phase, which is like a missions trip for a month or so. So I found myself in Costa Rica, Panama, Africa.
Wow.
And also like we went through Switzerland and like a few other places on the way.
Wow.
So yeah, it was awesome. And I have a lot of connections now because of it.
So you have traveled the world.
Yes.
You have received educational classes, and you're coming back and you're taking what you know with some people around you that whether they inspire you, whether they're doing cool things, and just saying, hey, how can we gain some wisdom together and bring it to some people?
Yeah, I mean, so for you, the inspiring part might be true, but like the doing cool things, that's still on the. I'm not sure.
We'll see.
Jury's still out on that one. But yes, basically that's it. I'm like, I know some really cool people that the people in Africa or the people in Costa Rica are never going to be able to meet. Similarly with them, whenever I go overseas,
some cool people in Costa Rica and Africa that we'll never meet.
Yep. So I want to just be able to like connect people to some of the people who have been very influential to me, the lessons they've learned throughout life. And as we were just talking before this, I'm like, dude, you got a lot of them. So, but yeah,
we'll see what we can cram into 30 minutes. An hour and 30 minutes. I don't know how long this podcast is.
Honestly, I tested it the other day. It'll record for, I think I recorded for like an hour and 20 minutes or so.
We promise we won't do that to you. So don't worry.
Well, maybe it'll be a 2-parter if we're going to do that. It'll be a 2-parter. I don't know. We'll see. But now I've got questions for you since you just bombarded my podcast.
Ready.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this one's very just based off of today. The first question, and you're going to laugh, is what time do you eat breakfast? And here's the story behind this for those watching and listening. I texted you at 11:11. Actually, you texted me. I texted you at 11:07 or whatever. You texted me back at 11:11. And you said you had already eaten lunch.
Yes.
I was going to offer you lunch before the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, thank
Honestly,
you for
so kind.
And then you had already eaten lunch at 11:11 a.m.
I am kind of like an old person, but here's the deal. Usually I don't eat breakfast or lunch, and I will be like starving at 4 p.m. And that's what I've done the past 2 days. Well, today I grabbed a breakfast with somebody at 9 a.m. And the first thing that came out of this guy's mouth was, are you guys only serving breakfast or are you serving lunch too? And they said, full menu, baby. And he said, okay, I want a chicken bacon ranch sandwich. And I was like, dang, I think I want that too. And so
you ate lunch for breakfast?
I would say I've had breakfast really, but dude, we ate lunch, man. So I mean, it was slathered in ranch. So it was
that's an interesting word.
It was pretty good. So that wasn't a mic thing. That was just the slathering.
I was gonna say, a good slathering noise.
So pretty early, I guess.
I love that I don't even have to edit this now because there's just sound effects automatically in it.
Yeah, whatever you need, my friend. I will do them all.
It's great. Okay. On that though, I gotta ask, where did you guys go to breakfast? This is a bonus question.
All right, check this out. We went to Village Inn, which is like an old person place. So you might be thinking you did eat lunch at 9 a.m. You are an old person. And here's the crazy thing. It is currently a Wednesday, which I don't even know if I'm supposed to reveal that, but you get a free piece of pie when you leave. So I left with a piece of cherry pie that I've already eaten.
Free pie only on Wednesdays?
Yeah, it's free pie with your meal.
Because their pie, I'm not going to lie, that's the only reason my grandparents ever talk about that place. Like
absolutely.
For holidays, we'll grab pies from Village Inn and they're always sold out.
Yes, and I had a piece today. Is amazing.
I may or may not be just slightly jealous.
You're welcome, everybody.
Okay. So back to the actual questions I have for you. Does anyone actually ever call you Jonathan?
My parents.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and even my parents would call me something else probably, but maybe my wife.
Would they just call you like,
they call me like
problem
Bud.
child?
They're like, favorite child is what I was thinking.
Oh,
but
favorite.
In fact, if you want to know if you're a favorite child, all you got to do is go to your parents' house and count how many pictures you're in versus your siblings, and you'll know where you stack up. So we had parents that tried to make things pretty even, but I know that my sister was probably the favorite, but that's okay.
So same, because I think like I'm definitely probably in the least amount of photos. I used to hate photos for a long time. That's why this whole thing.
Yeah, I was very
video
similar.
Podcast is really hilarious.
Very similar.
But I hated photos. Yeah. So, but okay. I just was curious because like I have only ever called you Martz. I heard somebody call you John one time, and I was like, "Who?"
Yeah, John. John is my dad's name, so he's John Martz. So my grandpa is John Martz Sr. My dad is John Martz Jr. And then he named me Jonathan Martz. So I kind of broke the curse there, and now my son's name is Beckham. So we just didn't, if I would have been a John Martz the third, you better believe that my son is John Martz the fourth.
Oh my goodness!
Didn't work out that way. So I'm really starting a new trend.
Clearly. And so, the last one. This is the most important one. Okay, I need you to lock in.
So I know it's the least important. Let's go.
Okay, you know what? Don't
let's go. Let's go.
You gotta leave some suspense.
I'm gonna make it the most important.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Now I don't even want to.
I ruined it. You know what?
No, I'm kidding. No. We're still gonna ask it. Yeah, just podcast over. No. Do you know where Luke and Mark are?
In the Bible?
That was just a stupid question. It didn't require an answer, but okay. Thank you.
I don't know.
It was just because we got Matthew and John. So you didn't even get it?
No, I did not get that.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Wow. That's actually really good.
Guys, I'm actually a comedian.
I am glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Let's actually get into the podcast because I don't know how long we've been recording.
That was a good one.
This is a great little intro.
Do you mind if I talk about our sponsors real quick before we get in?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yes. Sprite, Dr. Pepper, and Starbucks. I think you poured some Dr. Pepper into.
Yeah. Guys, their peppermint mocha was actually really good. I was at Target with my mom earlier, and shout out to moms.
Village Inn, Starbucks, Target, and just all the big brands.
This is Dr. Pepper and peppermint mocha mixed together, and if I drink it and you like throw up, I'm glad I can't see. So
it kind of looks like it might not be throw up, it might be the other end. So
that seems incredible.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right.
So I am going to allow you to introduce yourself. However, I need you to behave, okay?
No.
But who is Martz?
Well, that's a great question. Do you want my whole backstory? Is that what you're thinking?
Like full superhero backstory, just whatever.
My kryptonite.
You're a superhero.
That's scary. Uh-oh.
I'm kidding.
Which I did always think though, if I had a dog, because my last name's Martz, I'd call him Super Martz, but I'd never had a dog, so just two cats. Anyway, growing up, I grew up as a pastor's kid, which you're familiar with. You were also a pastor's kid.
Indeed.
And I grew up in a church where God was very real to me. And I had a lot of people that would ask, do you want to follow the footsteps of your dad? Do you want to be a pastor? And I was like, no, no way.
Yeah.
Like, one, public speaking terrifies me. I don't want to do that. Two, like, no, I want to make a lot more money than that. Right. I'm like, I want to be rich one day. Right. That like, as a kid, the things that mattered to you were pretty trivial. And no, I don't want to push myself to be uncomfortable, and I want to have a lot of money. And I, you'd kind of seen the church, you'd seen like, man, that seems like a lot of work. And, sometimes maybe the reward isn't always there. And it is, but it is shown in a different way sometimes. And so that wasn't something that I was super interested in. But over the years, my faith has, it's been high and it's been low at different times. And there's been times where my faith has been like checking a box, and I just need to finish this, and okay, cool, I did it, whatever. And there have been times where you go off and do your own thing. And what's crazy is all throughout those processes, even in high school and college, where I felt like I kind of got walked out of my faith and back in. I always believed in God, but I just didn't always, love the church or the idea of a pastor. And, some of those things were they were personal, but through some of my conclusions, I'm like, hey, I don't know if I need this in my life. I don't know how important this is. And it wasn't until I had gone out to Seattle. I'd taken an internship out there. It was going into my senior year of college. So I had one more year of college left.
Internship at a church?
No, this was internship, and I studied music. So music technology, music business. So I was going out there to work for a brand. It was called Sleepless Collective.
Okay.
And they had... they sold merch. They had artists that they managed. It was in Seattle, kind of underground. So there was a bunch of musicians that were coming up, and I was like, dude, this is exactly what I want to do. And if this goes well, there's no way I'm going back to Missouri, Missouri. The best music scene in the world, in Springfield, Missouri. I was like, no, dude, I'm staying out in Seattle.
Right.
So I go out there. My sister, she works.
Hold up real fast. Does Seattle actually have a good music scene?
Oh,
when I think
definitely.
music, I don't think Seattle.
Well, when I went, that was the time like Macklemore was beginning to blow up. He was a Seattle guy. I don't even know, but like there was a pretty good music scene out in Seattle, and it was close to. It's not crazy far from California. You get different things are all kind of around there. Where if you wanted to do
geography, so.
if you want to do like a mini tour, you could do over there. But yeah, there was a whole scene for sure. There was some of my favorite record labels were out there, and so I was like, yeah, I'm going to try to get a job. I'm going to try to stay.
Good to know.
And so I got out there. I was going to do this internship, and I met a guy the very first night at the show. Is the guy who owned the Sleepless Collective, and he let me know that he sold the company. And he's like, but, and I was like, I came out here for this. And I was only going to be there for like 4 months. But I was like, no, but I'm thinking maybe I'll just stay. Right. And, cause I gotta be honest, a degree in music doesn't really get you anywhere than just being talented at music. So, I mean, the degree is not important.
Hey, don't be
sorry. I'm so sorry if you're getting a music degree.
Yeah.
Now there are other things that are helpful with that, but not in the scene I was in.
I'm kidding.
So yeah, so he introduced me to the new guy that he had sold the company to, and ultimately, people had jumped ship.
Yeah.
So I was doing like no work out there. My sister worked nights because she lived out there. That's how I was like had room and board. She worked nights at the hospital, and I didn't know anybody, like not a single person. So there were days that I'd just like ride the bus into the city and sit at Barnes and Noble and read an entire book and then come back home.
Wait, you read?
Yeah, barely. Like that might be the time I read the most. I was just like, I need human interaction because she lived in a small apartment and I don't have any, and this is better than just watching Netflix all day, and I need to do something with my life, and I came out here and I'm really so anyway.
Yeah.
I started to be like, well, maybe on Sundays I could go to church. And there was a place that I could walk to because I didn't have a car. I could walk to from the apartment, and it was so healing and so beautiful and so like, this is different. And the way they articulated things, the way they explained things, the way they were very community centered, the way that all the things that got in the way of people seeing Jesus, I felt like it just wasn't there. And I kept having this buddy. It was like, hey, when you come back for school to finish your senior year, because at that point I'm like, I think I'm coming back. I ain't staying out here. I got nothing to do. I don't know anybody. Yeah. He's like, when you come back, hey, you should check out this one church. And so ultimately I was like, no. But at that point I was like, okay, fine. So I came out and it was just beautiful. It was like, I remember the pastor had said something like, hey, what happens inside these four walls is not nearly as important as what happens outside these four walls. And I got invited to an event where really it was just caring for those in need. It was helping out kids at schools. There were some different like community elements. And I just remember thinking that was so transformative in my life, because all these things that I didn't like about the church were actually all these things that I didn't like about me. And I was kind of selfish and self-centered. I was kind of like corrupt. I was kind of like, I just in it for my own personal gain. And so,
can we pause there for a sec real fast?
Absolutely.
Okay. Cause I want to ask, like, I feel like for people my age, okay, maybe not your age. I don't know. Maybe still your age.
Whoa.
I'm not your age, bro.
Unbelievable.
I'm not, as the kids say, I'm not an old head.
I've got, how old are you?
20. I turned 23 next month.
I've got a decade on you.
You got oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I feel like it is like we feel like we can't be generous, or we can't be very outgoing, or we can't open up our spaces, or we can't do this. Like, did you kind of feel that as well during this age, or no?
I just felt like I didn't have a lot to give. Right.
Yeah.
So you feel like, hey, I don't have influence. Hey, I don't have money. Hey, I don't have, like, whatever it is that you feel like is holding you back. The reality is that you do have some. Like, you do have influence. Like, you starting this podcast right now is you saying, like, I don't know, and maybe 3 people may listen. Well, that's 3 people. And what I'm saying is there are you need to do something with what you got.
Right.
And you could just sit there and be like, well, I don't have enough. Okay. Like, what is enough? Like,
I did do that for years, actually.
No one that ever started anything awesome or did anything cool went 0 to 100. Like, these things build over time. You have to do stuff that you feel like is a waste of time, but it can totally be true that God wastes nothing. Like, your plans have to get wrecked in order for you to also realize that God has a perfect plan for your life.
Yep.
And, you may feel like your timeline got delayed, but it can still be true that God has perfect timing.
Yep.
And what it is just saying yes to God. And when something comes your way, and you're like, I think I need to do that. Like, I actually think in my bones, like, God is telling me to do that. And I know that's weird, because whether he speaks to you, whether you're just like, this is a strong impression, whether you just read something in scripture and you're like, wow, oh, what if that was my faith? Whether you see someone else that inspires you, whether you hear a pastor, whether you listen to a podcast, whatever it is, there's oftentimes a prompting to do something, and that leaves pretty quickly. Yeah. But when when it's just a thought, it usually doesn't go anywhere. When it's an experience, it lives with you. Right. And so when you experience something, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't shake this off. So even with this event, this community event that we went to and helped that, I was like, oh my word, like, I've never done something like this. And we did it in such a way where it's like, I don't require any return on investment. Yes. Like, this isn't like, what's the ROI of this event? It was to help people. Legitimately, and to help kids. And I was like, man, when's the last time I did something that wasn't transactional? When's the last time I did something without how is this going to return on my investment with my time or my resources or my money? And it's saying, what do you have, and God, could you use it? I mean, you think about, right, the 5 loaves, 2 fish, right? And he got it out of his hands and gave it to God's hands. And when he does that, often God blesses it, multiplies it, and gives it back to you. Yeah. And what do you have that you've been holding on to in your hands that God's like, would you give that to me so that I could take it and bless it? And it may not look the way you thought it was going to look. He didn't create a 12-course meal out of those loaves and fishes. But
I mean, there were 12 baskets left.
There were 12 baskets left. So the beautiful thing is, like, God can use it when you give it to him. And there's something you're holding on to that is influential, that is passion. It could be time. It could be energy. It could be whatever it is, and say, God, would you use this? And legitimately pause the podcast and pray, like, God, would you give me something like this? Would you break my heart for something, right? Give me vision for something. Vision often starts with a void. It's when you see a gap in something, you see a gap in your life, you see a gap in someone else's life, and you're like, I've got to do something about this. And oftentimes we think someone should do something about this. And God's like, yes, you.
I want to just vision starts with a void. I just want to clarify that, because oh man, it hit me. But I would agree. Yeah. Sometimes we just feel like we don't have enough, and we see the need, and God's like, the reason you see the need is because I need you to meet that need.
Absolutely.
And you're just like, oh, well, I feel like I can't. I'm too young. Dude, I'm gonna be honest, in starting this podcast, the amount of time that I have wasted just thinking I'm way too young, no one's gonna want to talk to me, no one's gonna listen, all these things is ridiculous. Like, I probably could have had so many more episodes by now if had I just like done it.
Yeah. And, the reality is you might not have a lot of people watch this episode. Bring me back for the 100th episode, okay? No, but I am saying, here's what it is. It's like a bamboo plant. Like the bamboo plant for years and years and years, it grows down, not up.
Yep.
And it looks like nothing is happening. And it looks like, this is going nowhere until all of a sudden it just shoots up and grows, crazy tall. And that happens over the course of a very short period. But it didn't happen overnight, because for years it grew down. And a lot of times for young adults, for students, for someone that's saying, hey, I'm trying to discover what my dream might be. I'm trying to discover what my purpose might be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to discover what a career that would pay me money might be, right? It doesn't even need to be, this like, why am I here on this earth question? But so many times we just feel like because we don't have instant success, like this must not be it. And that's not true at all. For years, you think about any character in the Bible, right? You think about David, all the things he did when he was younger that prepared him for when he was older. It was all the things he did when no one was looking in the dark that prepared him for later when he was in the light. And at some point in time, you're a young adult or a student, or even an adult, and you're listening to this right now. There's going to be something right now that God is preparing in you where you are going to get the opportunity to display that, and you're not going to gain all of that at once. It's going to be revealed what you've been working on. And so I'm curious, what does your days look like? What do your mornings look like? What do your, some people, if you're really spiritual, would call it first fruits look like? And those things get revealed. Yes. Like those things show, and they show in moments where it's a pop quiz, and you don't always pass those. That's okay. But those eventually get revealed. So.
Yeah. And so you're a pastor now, correct? Just to clarify.
Yeah, which by the way, beware of people who need titles. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, I do have a strong desire to connect people to Jesus. And I know I could do that, whether that's at a church setting, which I'm at right now, which has been awesome and so great. And at the same time, I know I could do that without a pulpit. I could do that without a microphone. I could do that in a one-on-one conversation. I could do that with somebody that I meet at Starbucks. I could do that wherever, right? And that's kind of your passion as well, of like, I'm going to do this everywhere. So I might as well do it on a podcast, and I might as well do it on a video, and I might as well do it at Starbucks and Target and all these places, because like this is just who I am. And so and that's a pastor. You don't need this official title. You don't need this official schooling. Now, I'm not against either of those. Those are helpful and can be eventually you might hit a wall of like, hey, I need to learn more. Cool. Hey, I need some credibility to what I'm doing. Absolutely. Right. But that should not hold you back from connecting people to Jesus.
Yeah. Well, and so I want to ask, you came to a community event. Was it at North Point?
Yeah, it was at North Point.
I just wanted to clarify.
I just imagine a lot of people here don't know North Point, and so it was called a Give Back event. And we were serving at a school, and we were painting, we were creating supplies for kids. We had collected a bunch of supplies. It was kind of a back to school give back type of deal, and it was incredible. It was so people have a lot of thoughts on what the church should be. And I'm like, that's what the church should be. Yep. And we might not need, your city, wherever you're at, might not need another church. There might be plenty of churches, but your community could use some more hope. And that's what an event like that was.
Yeah, for the record, we're in Springfield and Missouri, to clarify.
Yeah,
and
not
so,
Massachusetts.
Not Massachusetts. Yeah. And the whole, your city may not need another church. It may not. It may. I mean, we are literally like, there's a church every 2 seconds.
Yeah. There are so many.
The center of the Bible Belt. But yeah, so you were invited by a friend of yours to come to church, which I love just in general, because like we've been talking with the students, and I think it's important for young adults to remind themselves too that sometimes it's just reaching out to somebody. You like, did your friend think you might say no, or like?
Well, yeah, I think I had already said no before.
Yeah, you'd said no to him before? Yeah.
Yeah, to coming to North Point. I was just like, I don't know if church, I don't know. I've kind of seen them all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, there was a piece of me that's like, I know it.
'Cause you grew up around it.
And yeah, well, not necessarily here, but you experience something once or twice or three times, once, twice, thrice, and you are like, oh, that's what it is, right? You meet someone that votes a certain way and you're like, that's who they are. You meet someone who is this kind of athlete and you're like, that's who they are. You meet someone in band and you're like, that's who they are. And it's like, no, they're a human that has so many different intricacies and they're complex and they think differently than it's so easy to put people in a box. It's so easy to put things in a box. It's so easy to put God in a box because of something you experienced when you were younger. And I just want to say, re-experience those things. Try those things again. Matt, I know that's a bit of your past of like with church, the same thing where, hey, I don't know if I want this. And so you hold it at an arm's length and you don't fully dive in. And I think that's smart. That's not wrong. But to be like, no, I shun it and I don't want any piece of it. I'm like, well, that, I would inspect that in your life. Yeah.
Well, and that's where I was at. And before coming here, before I got like plugged in, like serving, other things like that, and given opportunities, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep it at an arm's length. I don't want anything to do with it. 'Cause, my parents were like, hey, like if you get close to the church, you're going to get hurt. Like, that's just how it is. And so I'm thankfully now I can say I'm at a point where I'm not there anymore. But it's only by the grace of God that I'm not there because like I kept being curious and giving it an opportunity again and not saying, okay, well, I've seen this in the past and this just is what it is.
Yeah. And I think if you get close to the church, you are going to get hurt. If you get close to a person and you date, like you might get hurt. Like those are realities. And that doesn't make it easier that I'm not being cheeky with that. But if you get close to Jesus, he's the healer and he's the provider and he's the peace and he's the hope and he's the joy and he's the love and he's the, like, if you can make sure that you're tethering yourself to him instead of a church, him instead of a person, him instead of a building, then like it's lighter than that darkness.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so from a quick thing from like that event to where you are now, like I'm sure there was a lot that went into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the key pieces that I think about, which there's so many things in between that, but I started working at the church. I did an internship. I started working at the church. I did production and video and kind of some of the website stuff, really any way that, can I make money on this? Yes. And so I did bivocationally. So I did kind of freelance work all around town, but I would do this at North Point as well. And really just one yes after another turned into an opportunity I never expected. So there was a time I would donate plasma. I've still got the the scar right here.
Don't be showing that.
Yeah.
Don't be showing that.
So I do that all the time because again, I'm just like a broke, fresh out of college kid. And I was in college while I did it too. But I remember sitting there and I was listening to a podcast and it had told me like, hey, you should pray. Like vision starts with a void, right? It's basically like, hey, whatever breaks your heart, like God may want to use you in that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I don't know if anything breaks my heart. So but I'm like, God, I want that. I like, you may be here and you're, I don't know, 13 or 23 or 33. And you're just like, God, what do you want me to do? Yep. And so many times I'd ask, God, what's your will for my life? What's your will for my life? What's your will for my life? And you got to shift that thinking into, God, how does my life fit into your will? And his will is pretty clear where, it's pray continuously, rejoice in all things. Like there are key things where it's like, just start doing that, saying yes to Jesus in those ways, and he will start to make your path straight. He will be a lamp unto your feet, light unto your path. So start doing those things. And oftentimes he reveals things. So I remember sitting there, I was listening to that podcast. He's like, what breaks your heart? And I remember thinking just how difficult my transition from college to the real world was. And I had built all these friends over the course of 4 years getting my degree. And then I left it and I was like, what? Like, now I don't want to be that weird guy that goes back to like college. And I'm not that, So anyway, I really had a burden for young adults. And I had applied for a job.
Shameless plug.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I had applied for a job. I didn't get it. and it was within the church. And I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Well, I had a guy come up to me in the lobby, and he's like, hey, we got a lot of young adults here. We should do something about that. And there was no young adult ministry or anything like that. And I remember thinking, yeah, you should do something about that. And he came back a couple days later. He's like, dude, I've been thinking about this. Like, we should do something about this. And here's the deal. He wasn't on staff. I was on staff in like a kind of a, I was doing like IT stuff. So like not really in any type of pastoral way.
Yes.
But I remember thinking, you know what? Like, hey, if you're in, I'm in. And we just went down this crazy road of like, we started doing some events. We started, just gathering young adults together. And sometimes we'd gather them and they'd be like, what's the point of this? And we're like, we don't know. So then we go back to the drawing board of like, okay, do we want to like do a message? Do we want to like do that? So we were like trying to figure out what even, we just knew we wanted to gather young adults together to build a healthy community outside of work and school, because we want the kind of community that lasts, that encourages, that's not just built on a situation or circumstance. Like, this is welcoming for anybody. And how do we connect you to Jesus? And so we ended up starting a young adult ministry. And it's one of the things that really helped me come into the idea of being a pastor for the first time, where I was always like, yeah, we're at church, but I'm not a pastor, right? Even I went to a Christian university, but I'm studying music, okay? Like, I am not going this route. And so even,
at least pastorally.
Yeah, it's funny. There may be things even right now that you're running from or fighting that God's going to use. And when you finally, right, 5 loaves, fishes, when you finally give over that control to him and be like, God, like, okay, my life, I'm going to fit it into your will. What do you want to do with it? Like, just keep saying yes to him, and you will have anything but a boring life. Like, you will have a wild, crazy ride. And, it doesn't mean that everything's going to work out perfectly. It doesn't mean that, your finances are always going to go up and to the right. Like, it's going to be this crazy, but you're going to come out and you're going to be like, gosh, I got some stories to tell. Like, I got some things to tell my grandkids. I've experienced some of the greatest life in my life ever. And
the greatest life in my life.
Absolutely. Because sometimes life can knock the life out of you.
That's true.
But like, Jesus can bring the kind of life back in your life.
Amen.
And come on, but it's the truth. And so many people stop short of that. So many people are, they've got a better plan than God is what they think. And so any way that you can just say, all right, God, I'm not going to say, what's your will for my life? I'm not going to pray that. I'm going to pray, how can my life fit into your will right now? And how can I rejoice in all things? How can I pray continually? And how can I, give thanks with what I have right now? And that's saying, even though I may not have much, God, how do you want to use it? And he will. Yeah. And you're going to end up in some interesting places. So over the course of the years, I've been able to start that young adult ministry, got to move to Republic and launch a campus.
Yeah, you did.
Came back to Springfield, and even for a short period, got to be our interim pastor. It was just unique things that you say yes, and God uses it. He prepares you for things that I wasn't prepared to do any of those things. Yeah. And it's just wild how when you keep saying yes and showing up, God shows up too.
Yeah. That's just, it's so good. Because I think I might need to, like, after this, do maybe post one of the messages. I had a message idea for a teaching or a preaching or whatever over, like, and I actually think I talked to you about it one night, about the, like, focusing on what we do have versus what we don't have.
Absolutely.
Even if it's literally just that you have God. Like, not everybody has God. So, like, the fact that you have God or don't have, like, if you're not a believer, that's all right. But for those of us that are, like, we have God, we have his Holy Spirit, and that Jesus literally called the helper. And so just remind ourselves of that constantly, right? We have a helper. We have a God that's for us, that's with us and wants the best for us, right? He wants our life to play a part in his will, like you said. And that's going to be a mindset shift for me that I really enjoy as well, is not praying, okay, God, what is your will with my life, but how does my life fit into your will? And they sound the same, and in all honesty, they could be. But here's the thing, I just like the wording of the one better.
Well, one paralyzes you. God, what's your will for my life? I'll wait.
Right. You just constantly look.
Here we go. Okay, is it this? The other one is, God, how does my life fit into your will? And it's saying like, okay, what's your will? Let me go find that in scripture and let me go do that. Like it's not paralyzing. Like it's proactive. It's like, okay, I can start. Oftentimes you say, God, show me the way and I'll go. And God's like, why don't you go and I'll show you the way. So
I was actually really encouraged by that. A lot of times in the Bible, I mean, whenever you see Jesus calling a lot of the disciples, he was just follow me to where they were not told.
That's so true.
They were not told that it was going to be like 3 years of being mocked.
Here's the deal.
Scorned.
They were young. They were probably teenagers when they did this. But what's crazy is the things that you develop, if you're young and you're listening to this, the things you develop in your 20s and 30s are the things that like create your life in your 40s and 50s. There are things that you say, well, I'll figure that out later. I'll do that later. I'll learn that later. I'll kick that habit later. It's like, no, do it now, because these are the things that set you up for the next generation of your life.
Well, and the habits affect your later. Like if you got bad habits, I promise you they'll come out. I know from experience. I got testimonies of that one. But then also if you have good habits, they'll come out, right? People will see that. So that's so good. Okay. So you never felt called to be a pastor, and this was something you told me earlier.
Yeah, the heavens never opened up and said, for you are my son, and you I'm well pleased. I never got anything like that. And so ultimately I just kept saying yes to God. Right. And wherever that took me, I'm like, I'm going to go there. And I think that sometimes people over spiritualize it. Now, here's the deal. If you've got a call from God and you felt like that was very real and authentic, awesome. Walk in that. Hold on to that. Be proud of that. Protect that.
Yep.
And if you feel like you haven't, like you're not left out. And you're not a leftover. That's not how that works. You're in a spot where it doesn't need to be this one thing. Like God's going to use He uses every piece, every aspect of your life when you give it to him. And it doesn't, whether he calls you to something or not, you are going to be called to something extremely special. And it's just, he's got a unique plan for you. So,
well, that's the thing I was going to say. Everyone has a calling, whether you specifically know it or not. I mean, and you have gifts that God's given you. We're in a series with students going through the gifts, and I'm really thankful that we get to teach them, like, they do have gifts. They should be trying to grow those and see those and identify those in their lives. Because I wasn't doing that. Even during my time with YOM, I couldn't tell my group at one point. There was a night where they were like, "Hey, write down like how you've been like contributing and helping the group." I literally could not put anything. I was like, "I know I have been, but I don't know." And so they thankfully went around and they were telling me, they're like, yeah, you have an innate ability to connect with people. And I just don't see connecting with people as a gift, but it is, right? It can be. And they, just encouraging people.
It's often funny. The thing that you have that's a gift, you're like, yeah, but that's not a gift. It's just me. It's just me. Yeah. But it's a gift.
And that's what's crazy is it takes other people sometimes. That's why I think like community is so important. The church is so important because it sometimes takes other people just saying, hey, I see this in you. And you don't even see in yourself.
Yeah, and I think even through the course of like this whole journey of figuring out like where I'm going, what's happening, what should I say yes to? Because God's oftentimes, he's going to put multiple things in your pathway that you choose. And you're like, how do I choose the best one? I just want to choose the right one, which by the way, he's going to bless whatever you choose as long as it's not sin. But like for real,
true, yeah,
right?
Fair.
Often there's a kid that is playing on the playground. It's like, hey, Dad, do you want me to swing on the monkey bars or do you want me to play on the slide? And he's like, dude, I don't care. Just don't go by the pool, because you'll drown. And should I hopscotch or should I do this? And it's over by the playground. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we had some cool playgrounds growing up.
Yeah.
But the big thing is like, you do whatever you want, like as long as it's not sin. But one of the things that helped me early on was just developing kind of like a personal mission statement. And really for me, it's maximizing the value of people. It's saying, I just believe people have so much value inside of them. And how do I draw that out? How do I show them the value that they have and reveal that to them? And if I can add value, awesome. But like, it's not potential. It's taking something that's already good. Like God made you good. And how do we just bring greatness out of that? How do we say, like, what's the thing that God's instilled in you that maybe you feel like is just a natural quality that is unnatural to people around you? That's a gift. that when it's revealed, when you're able to see it, you're able to walk in it. And so every step I've said, okay, does this new opportunity, does this new career, does this new endeavor that I want to do, does it help me execute my mission better? Does it help me saying yes to this podcast, is saying, okay, any way that I can help people see the value that they already have and bring that out in their life, I want to do that. So then that's an easy yes.
Yeah. Well, we're uplifting and encouraging people because, I mean, you've been very encouraging to me in starting this. You were like, dude, start it, do it.
Well, that's the thing. And even if it's bad, it won't stay that way.
Guys, it's just going to be the world's worst. I'm just kidding. No, honestly, and this episode was, I feel like, really great. We did have some more stuff we were going to chat about, but honestly, I think we might save that for the next one.
Save that for the 100th episode. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bring me back.
Well,
then.
We're saving it for that long.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know how quick you work.
But what if the people miss you too much?
Well, whenever they want me, I'll be back.
I'm just kidding. But no, I know you got stuff that you got to go to, so we do got to close this out, sadly. With that, would you mind just like, can we close in some prayer? And then, yeah.
I'll allow it. I won't be anointing any heads with oil right now.
Darn it. I got my forehead already,
Oil shortage, but absolutely. God, I don't know who's listening to this podcast, but I just pray blessings on their life. God, I pray that you'd be very real, that you'd be very revealing to them. Lord, as it says, you are so many things. You are exactly what we need. You are a wonderful counselor. You are a mighty God. You are everlasting Father. You are a Prince of Peace. Whatever we need right now, God, you are that, and you are enough. And Lord, I pray that we'd be able to step in the insane amount of value that we have that maybe we don't see, that would get revealed to us, and we can walk in that. And Lord, I just believe whoever's listening to this, you're going to put opportunities in their path that are going to be very clear yeses to walk in your ways. And you've got a crazy plan of a life for them. And I pray that they're able to look back one day and just be so thankful of all the times they said yes. I've never regretted saying yes to you. I think anyone listening wouldn't regret it either. In your name, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much. We'll just go ahead and close it out. I'll probably put like a little thing towards the end of it.
Boom.
Boom. Done. Thank you for sticking around until the end of the episode. Before you leave, I want to leave you with this one final form of encouragement, and that's this: that your story truly does matter, and it reflects God's glory in ways that you haven't even seen yet. I promise you there are ways in which my entire life, and we'll see as you go through these podcasts and as people share their stories and as I get to share what God's done in my life, you'll see that there are plenty of ways that I didn't even see God was working, and yet He was. But by reflecting on my life and seeing, oh my gosh, God was there, it really helped me to grow in my faith. And so that's what I want to encourage you, whether you're a believer, whether you're a non-believer, wherever you're at in your journey, stay encouraged, stay faithful, and keep reflecting. That way we all together can better reflect God more boldly in the world today. That's my prayer for you guys. I love y'all. Thank you for listening. And until next time, I'll see you. Peace.